In the year 2419, Earth was no longer alone. Humans had joined a large interstellar alliance with many alien species. Some were friendly, some were cold, and some did not trust humans at all. Peace was kept with rules, but old fears still lived under the surface. A big peace summit was planned aboard the Harmony Nexus, a large station that floated between star systems. The summit was meant to bring leaders together to talk and work for peace. One of the most important guests was Prince Kaelor, a young royal from the Varelian Empire. He was only 21 years old, but already known across the stars. He was tall, with blue skin, silver eyes, and wore clothes made of glowing fabric. He walked like he owned the station. On Earth's side, a man named Nathan Brooks was sent as one of the main diplomats. Nathan was in his 30s, calm, smart, and known for keeping cool, even in tough moments. He did not wear anything flashy, just a simple black suit with Earth's symbol on the shoulder. When Kaelor arrived, many watched him closely. He spoke in a strong voice and acted like he was better than everyone else. He had grown up in luxury and was not used to being told no. He believed that humans were weak and that their time in the Alliance was just a mistake. During a formal gathering in the main hall, where food and drink from many worlds were served, Kaelor spoke loudly. His words echoed through the room. He said that humans were clever monkeys, who had gotten lucky with fire and metal. He said their minds were still simple, and their ways too emotional. The room became silent. Everyone looked at Nathan. They waited for him to respond. Some thought he would shout. Others thought he might leave in anger. But Nathan did none of those things. He stood there, quiet for a moment. Then he gave a small nod, turned, and walked out of the room without saying a single word. His face showed no anger, no fear, just calm. Kaelor blinked. The silence stayed for a few more seconds. Then soft whispers filled the air. Some aliens looked confused. Others seemed surprised. A few humans stood up to follow Nathan while others stayed and watched Kaelor. News of what happened spread fast. By the next morning, videos of the moment were already moving through interstellar networks. Some humans were upset, saying Kaelor had insulted all of Earth. Others praised Nathan for his quiet strength. They said he had shown true power by not saying anything. On the alien side, opinions were mixed. Some believed Kaelor had gone too far. Others said the human reaction was strange. Some even said that maybe humans were smarter than they had believed. Kaelor sat in his room later that night thinking. His advisors told him he had made a mistake. They reminded him that Earth was now a full member of the Alliance. Treating them with disrespect could cause problems for the Varelian Empire. Nathan, meanwhile, sat in a quiet part of the station, looking out into space. He was not angry. He was thinking. He knew that words could start wars or build peace. He chose silence to show strength. The summit was not over. More meetings were planned, and talks would go on. But something had changed. A seed had been planted. And soon, it would grow into something bigger. This was only the beginning. The news about Nathan's silent walk spread fast. Every corner of the Harmony Nexus station was buzzing with talk. Screens showed clips of the moment over and over. Some people called it an insult. Others called it a powerful message. No one could agree on what it truly meant. Prince Kaelor stayed in his private quarters, said nothing to the press. The Varelian advisors were busy trying to clean up the mess. They told the press that the prince had only meant to speak with honesty, but many did not believe it. They said he had crossed a line. Nathan did not give any interviews. We stayed away from the spotlight, spent time in quiet places, walking, reading, and thinking. Few reporters tried to follow him, but he gave no answers. He was not looking for attention. He had made a choice and stood by it. Back on Earth, many people praised Nathan. They said he showed true human strength. Schools showed his silent walk in class. Young students called it a new kind of heroism. Others were angry. They said he should have stood up and spoken for all of Earth. Leaders in the Interstellar Alliance started to pay attention. They had seen many diplomatic fights before, but this one was different. One man had changed the mood of the whole summit without even speaking. A few days later, Nathan got a message from the Earth delegation. They asked him to meet them in one of the council rooms. When he arrived, a group of officials greeted him. They looked serious. One of them, a man named Howard Lane, spoke first. He asked why Nathan had walked away without answering the insult. Nathan replied calmly. He said that not all fights need loud words. Sometimes silence makes the strongest point. Some in the room nodded, others looked unsure. Then Nathan said he wanted to speak with Kaelor again, but this time in private. He wanted to meet not as enemies or rivals, but as thinkers from two different worlds. The Earth officials were surprised. They warned him that Kaelor was proud and might not listen. Nathan simply said, "Let him decide." The request was sent to the Varelian side. For a day, there was no answer. Many thought Kaelor would ignore it. But then, a message came back. The prince had agreed. The meeting was to take place in a small chamber with no cameras and no audience. Only Nathan and Kaelor would be inside. One translator was allowed, but only if needed. When the two men met again, there was no ceremony. Kaelor stood still, his silver eyes watching. Nathan stepped in, calm and quiet. Kaelor spoke first. He said he had not expected a human to walk away without anger. He said it made him think. He asked what Nathan had hoped to gain. Nathan said he did not want to gain anything. He wanted Kaelor to understand that humans were not weak, not broken, and not simple. He said that humans had learned to survive without having sharp claws or strong skin. They had used their minds. They had loved, lost, and grown stronger. Kaelor listened without speaking for a while. Then he said, "Your silence was loud." Nathan smiled a little. "Your silence now means something too." That short meeting changed something. No one knew what was said, but both men walked out quietly. For the first time, Kaelor did not hold his head so high. He looked thoughtful. The press did not know what to say. Rumors spread, but no facts followed. Still, people felt that something new had started. Later that night, Nathan stood by a window watching the stars. He did not know what would come next. But he knew this was not the end. It was the start of something greater. Whispers turned into waves. Across the Harmony Nexus and across the stars, people were talking about the meeting between Nathan and Prince Kaelor. No one knew what had been said, but both men walked out in silence, and that silence meant something. The Varelian advisors were not happy. They believed Kaelor had lost control of the story. They reminded him of his duty to the Empire and warned him to be careful. Kaelor listened, but said very little. He was thinking about Nathan's words, about how humans had come so far without power, without wealth, only through struggle and thought. Meanwhile, Nathan returned to his quarters and sat in the quiet. He kept no notes, gave no interviews, and refused all offers from the media. He wanted time to think. Something was happening, and he did not want to rush it. Earth's leaders also felt the change. They had expected a diplomatic failure. Instead, they saw new interest from other species. Some alien delegates requested private talks with Earth's team. Others began asking questions about human culture, history, and science. On the third day of the summit, a message came from the Varelian side. Kaelor had accepted a public meeting, a debate between him and Nathan. The topic was simple but deep. What gives a species value in the galaxy? The news spread fast. Everyone on the station wanted to watch. The debate would take place in the Grand Hall, a wide room with clear walls that showed the stars outside. Hundreds of seats were filled. Many more watched from other parts of the station or through live streams. Kaelor arrived first. He wore the same glowing fabric, but his face was calm, not proud. Nathan came in next, dressed simply. They stood in front of the crowd, with no guards between them. A soft tone rang through the room, marking the start. Kaelor spoke first. He talked about strength, about the long history of the Varelian Empire, its science, its beauty, and its long peace. He said that power and control had kept the galaxy stable. Nathan waited, then replied. He spoke about Earth's past. He talked about wars, hunger, mistakes, and pain. But he also spoke of music, learning, family, and the need to keep going. He said value did not come from size or strength, but from how a people treated others and grew together. Kaelor raised a point about order and tradition. Nathan answered with a story about a small village that rebuilt after disaster, not because of power, but because of trust. The crowd stayed quiet, but focused. No one looked away. One by one, Kaelor's questions were answered not with anger, but with honesty. Nathan did not try to win. He only wanted to show what it meant to be human. When the debate ended, there was silence, and one person stood and clapped, then another, in the whole room. Kaelor nodded slightly to Nathan. It was not a loss. It was a moment of learning, and he knew it. After the debate, the halls were full of voices again. People said it was the best moment of the summit. Some alien leaders asked for talks with Earth that had never happened before. Kaelor returned to his chambers and looked out at the stars. He remembered Nathan's words. He felt something he had not felt before. Respect. He knew the galaxy was changing. Nathan, walking alone in the corridor, smiled a little. Not because he had won anything, but because he had helped open a door. The summit was not yet over, but everyone knew that things would not go back to how they were. A new path had started, and there was no turning back. The days after the debate were filled with meetings and messages. Many alien leaders sent requests to speak with Earth's delegation. Some had ignored humans before, thinking they had little to offer. Now they wanted to listen. Nathan walked through the station with quiet steps. He did not speak much, but his presence now carried weight. He became a symbol of calm power, someone who had changed the direction of the summit without raising his voice. Prince Kaelor also changed. He no longer spoke with pride in every word. He still stood tall, but his tone was different. He asked questions during meetings. He listened longer. His own people noticed. Some were unsure. Others felt proud. In one important session, Kaelor and Nathan were asked to sit together. This time it was not a debate. It was a talk about working together. The subject was how the Varelian Empire and Earth might build something new, something shared. Kaelor looked at Nathan and spoke first. "Our people do not understand each other yet," he said, "but I believe we can learn." Nathan gave a small nod. "We are ready." The talks that followed were long but full of purpose. Ideas were shared. Stories were told. They did not agree on everything, but they respected each other. That was more important. On the edge of the station, a large viewing deck showed the galaxy in every direction. Nathan visited often, and one evening, Kaelor joined him. "You do not speak like other humans," Kaelor said. Nathan replied, "And you do not act like most royals." Kaelor gave a short laugh. "Perhaps that is why this is working." They stood side by side, watching the stars. The silence between them was not empty. It was full of thought. News of their meetings continued to spread. People from different planets watched with interest. Some sent messages of hope. Others sent warnings. Not everyone liked change. A small group of diplomats from a distant world called the Zarin sent a message to Earth and Varelia. They asked for a shared speech from both sides to address the whole alliance. They said it would help show the galaxy that peace was possible. Kaelor agreed. Nathan agreed too. The next day, they stood together again in the Grand Hall. This time, the hall was even more full. Screens across space showed the stage. Kaelor spoke about his mistake. He said he had judged too quickly. He said he had seen pride as strength and had forgotten that wisdom can come in quiet forms. Nathan spoke after him, said humans had often been misunderstood. He said fear had shaped many stories about Earth, but fear was never the end. Understanding was the goal. Their words were simple, but they reached deep. Many who listened felt the message. The Alliance had seen many speeches, but few with this kind of honesty. After the event, the Zarin sent a message again. They said they would support joint work between Earth and Varelia. Soon, other planets joined in. Ideas for schools, science centers, and trade routes started to grow. Kaelor looked at the list of new projects and said, "This was never planned," Nathan replied. "The best things often are not." A few days later, as the summit neared its end, Kaelor and Nathan met again in the quiet viewing deck. Kaelor said, "Do you think this will last?" Nathan looked out at the stars. "Only if we keep building it." The two stood there, not as prince and diplomat, but as two people from different worlds who had found a way to talk. The galaxy was watching, and for the first time in a long while, it was watching something good. The day after the joint speech, something unexpected happened. Prince Kaelor stayed out of the spotlight. He missed 2 meetings and gave no reason. Many people asked where he was, but his guards said nothing. Nathan noticed the change. He walked through the halls of Harmony Nexus, trying to stay away from the press. Still, his mind kept going back to Kaelor. Something felt off. He finally sent a simple message to Kaelor's room. "If you need to talk, I'm here." Hours passed with no reply. Then a short message came back. "Come alone." As Nathan walked quietly to Kaelor's quarters. 2 guards stood outside but stepped aside when they saw him. The door opened and he stepped in. Kaelor stood by the window looking out at the stars. He did not wear his usual glowing clothes. Instead, he wore plain gray. His silver eyes looked tired. "Thank you for coming," Kaelor said. His voice was softer than before. Nathan nodded. "You missed the trade talks. People are asking questions." Kaelor gave a small sigh. "I needed time. I've been thinking." Nathan stayed quiet, waiting. "Back home," Kaelor said, "they don't like what I've done here. Some call it weakness. Some call it betrayal. I've received over 100 messages, most of them angry. They think I let the humans rise too far." "And what do you think?" Nathan asked. Kaelor turned to face him. "I think I did what was right. But it's not easy. For the first time, I feel unsure." Nathan sat down. Being unsure is part of learning. "I've felt it many times." Kaelor walked over and sat across from him. "I was raised to believe we were the center of the galaxy, that others were smaller, slower, and weaker. But I see now how wrong that was. You taught me that without trying to." There was silence between them. It was not uncomfortable. It was full of understanding. Later that day, Kaelor returned to the summit. People noticed the change in him. He no longer interrupted others. He asked for opinions. Some delegates looked confused, others impressed. The Varelian team stayed quiet, unsure of what would come next. During one of the final sessions, the floor was open to any leader who wanted to speak. To everyone's surprise, Kaelor stood. He walked to the center and looked at the crowd. "I came here with pride and a closed mind," he said, "but I leave with respect and new thoughts. Earth has shown me something I did not expect. They have taught me that silence can be strong and kindness can shape the stars." He paused. No one spoke. "If I return home and lose favor for what I say here, so be it. I would rather lose power than lose my truth." He stepped down and walked out of the room without another word. The entire hall stayed silent. Then, just like Nathan before, one by one, people stood. It was not loud, but it was powerful. Nathan watched him leave. He felt something shift again. Kaelor had not just understood him, he had now taken the same step. News of Kaelor's words spread faster than anything else at the summit. Across star systems, people watched clips of the speech. Young Varelians sent him messages of support. Some called him brave, others called him foolish. But no one ignored him. For days after, conversations changed. Delegates began speaking of new projects, not just between Earth and Varelia, but between many planets. There was a feeling of something new starting. Nathan stood at the same window Kaelor once had, looking out at the endless space. He knew what came next would not be easy. But he also knew the future had changed. Kaelor had walked out quietly, his time with meaning. The Harmony Nexus began to change. What had started as a tense summit was now turning into something bigger. Delegates from different planets no longer sat in separate groups. Now they mixed, talked, and shared ideas. Nathan moved through the halls like before, quiet and calm. But people greeted him now, not just with respect, but with hope. Some aliens bowed, others placed a hand on their chest, a sign of honor in many cultures. Kaelor also moved differently. He had stopped wearing the clothes that marked him as royal. Instead, he wore what his team wore. He said he was just one voice now, not the voice of all. The summit entered its final week. Talks moved faster. Deals were signed. A shared science program between Earth and 3 other worlds was approved. A new peace force was discussed, not to fight, but to protect and help during disasters. One evening, Nathan sat with a group of students from different planets. They had been allowed to attend as part of a learning program. A young girl from a desert world asked him, "Do humans always speak so quietly when they are angry?" Nathan smiled. "Not always. But sometimes silence speaks louder than shouting." The students listened as he told them how Earth had faced many hard times, how humans had once fought each other, ruined their own world, and still found a way back. He told them how peace was not given. It was made piece by piece, choice by choice. Kaelor joined them later. He did not speak as a prince. He spoke as someone who had been wrong and had learned. The students listened to him too. One asked, "Are you still a royal?" Kaelor said, That depends on what I do next. Meanwhile, on Kaelor's home planet, news of his speech and actions was spreading fast. Some leaders called for him to return and explain himself. Others warned that he had broken traditions. Many young Varelians supported him. They said change was needed. One message from Kaelor's father, the Emperor, arrived. It was short. "Return home when ready. We must speak." Kaelor showed the message to Nathan. "I don't know what he will say." Nathan replied, "Then let him speak. But you know who you are now. That matters more." As the summit prepared to close, the final event was planned. A message would be shared from the Harmony Nexus to the whole alliance. All delegates would stand together as a sign of unity. Kaelor and Nathan were asked to write the final words of the message. They sat in a quiet room thinking, "We need to say something that others will remember," Kaelor said. Nathan nodded. "Not just words, a promise." Together, they wrote a short statement. "We are many voices from many worlds. We have lived apart, and we choose to listen, to learn, and to walk forward together." The message was read aloud by a group of students. It was sent to every corner of the Alliance. The next day, ships began to leave the station. Delegates returned to their planets. Projects had begun. Plans had been made. And something else had been born, a feeling that peace was possible. Kaelor stood at the dock, ready to board his ship. Nathan stood beside him. "What will you do when you get home?" Nathan asked. Kaelor answered, "I will speak the truth." "Just like you did." They shook hands, a simple gesture, but it meant much. As Kaelor's ship left the station, Nathan watched from the window. He knew this was not the end. The real work would begin now, on planets far away and hearts that had just started to change. And in the stars beyond, a new future was waiting. Years passed after the summit at Harmony Nexus. What began with silence between two very different people became the start of something greater. The story of the prince and the diplomat was still told in schools, stations, and on distant planets. Nathan never looked for fame. He continued his work in quiet ways. He helped solve small disputes between planets, led talks where others had failed. He taught young diplomats the power of patience and calm. Many wanted to work with him. Some just wanted to learn from him. One day, Nathan received a letter. It was written by Kaelor. The prince had become emperor, not by force, but by the will of the people. Many had doubted him at first, but he had proven his heart and mind were stronger than pride. In his letter, Kaelor thanked Nathan again. He wrote, "You gave me the space to change. That gift is still growing." Kaelor had changed the Varelian Empire. He opened schools for all kinds of learners, not just the highborn. He built peace centers across his planets. He invited people from Earth to help and share ideas. Some old leaders resisted, but most saw that the galaxy was changing, and they could not stop it. The memory of the Silent Walk never faded. Artists painted it. Writers turned it into plays. Children acted it out in class. It became known as the Silent Turn, not a moment of weakness, but a mark of strength. A large statue was built on Harmony Nexus. It showed two figures standing side by side, looking at the stars. There were no weapons, no crowns, only open hands and peaceful eyes. Below the statue, words were carved. In silence, we found each other. Visitors from many worlds came to see it. Some left flowers, others left letters. A few just stood there in silence, feeling something deep inside. Nathan visited the statue only once. He stood there alone for a long time. A few people noticed him but did not bother him. He touched the stone gently, then walked away. On Varelia, Kaelor ruled with wisdom. He listened more than he spoke. He walked among his people without guards, spoke to students and workers, not just nobles. He told them stories of the summit of Earth and of a man who answered insult with silence. Back on Earth, Nathan retired from his post, lived near the ocean, growing a small garden. Reporters tried to find him, but he kindly turned them away. Believed the story was never about him. It was about a choice anyone could make. One day, a small ship landed near his home. A young girl stepped out. She was from a distant world and wore a school uniform. She said, "I read your story. I want to help make peace too. Can you teach me?" Nathan smiled and said, "Yes, I can." And so, even years later, the story continued. Not in books alone, but in people, in choices, calm words and quiet strength. The galaxy still faced problems. Not every planet agreed. Not every leader listened. But the idea that one peaceful act could change everything stayed alive. The silent turn reminded them that sometimes the greatest power is not in force or anger, but in knowing when to walk away and let truth speak louder than words. And across the stars, many still looked toward Earth and Varelion, not because they were the strongest, but because they had learned how to listen, how to change, and how to lead with quiet courage.